the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Friday episode of Running Point on YSNLive.com, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you, and we go the extra mile for you as well here on Running Point. And Ty joins me, Ty Bartell, as always, my sidecar, my Goomba. Ty, how we doing on this wonderful Friday afternoon?
Doing good, Anthony. It's I guess the first Friday officially of what we'd say the summer edition of Running Point, I guess.
I guess
First,
that since last Friday we still had spring, our spring sports coverage.
yeah. I guess first official summer Friday too. We've been covering a lot of Scene Park baseball, BCB too. So I mean, it's been fun introducing us into the summer too. But yeah, you know what? It's we're into the thick of it. But hopefully the weather starts holding up on us now that we get into the summer more.
We don't want to make Mother Nature mad by calling her out.
Yeah, we won't. She's had a grudge against us for some reason this whole season.
I think it's Ty. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it might be me.
Today we look good. It's going to be 72, and the high is 75 for today, according to Storm Tracker 21. A little bit cloudy, but no precipitation in the forecast, and that's always a good sign for everyone.
Tell you what, that's perfect baseball weather, Anthony. That's some perfect baseball weather to get out there and catch some games.
Speaking of perfect baseball weather, the Scrappers are back in town this weekend, and as we are going to do every Friday throughout the Scrappers season, we're giving away 4 tickets to any Scrappers home game. It can be redeemable for any Scrappers home game, and we are going to have a trivia question. The first person to answer it in our comments section can win 4 tickets to the Scrappers. Once again, any home game, it is an upper box ticket, and it can be redeemed at the Chevy All-Stars box office from any home game that you choose for this season. Our trivia question, Ty, for this week is, who was the first Scrappers manager in franchise history? So who is the first Scrappers manager in franchise history? Be the first to answer in the comments section. Should I do the small print rules of the rules? Employees of YSN are not eligible for this. Yeah.
No commenting, Quinn.
Employees of YSN are not eligible for it.
We know Quinn's always hounding to go to baseball games.
Must be 18 or older.
Quinn's favorite sport is the baseball games. Quinn's always trying to grab tickets.
Yeah. No purchase
He loves his baseball. Quinn can't get enough of it.
No purchase necessary. Trying to think of all those little buzzwords and those super fast. I don't know if that person actually reads that fast. I think he reads it normal and they
just speed it up. Well, they also make sure that they're putting like happy things over it. So I had to muffle it somewhat. So I talked over it a little bit so they didn't have to hear the fine print. So you have to actually like really pay attention.
We're gonna put bed music over the.
Yeah. You agree to a 3-hour timeshare by accepting these tickets. Oh man!
Tickets. You agree to hear a pitch on a timeshare.
On a timeshare.
And we weren't alive with those timeshare scams, so I don't know if we should be making. I mean, that's like 80s material. Like every 80s sitcom had something about the family.
I swear, I was
pulled into a timeshare scam.
Yeah, and then the big time share presentations that you get
Oh yeah,
stuck in for hours at a time.
honey, we win a toaster, but we have to stay for the sales presentation. Oh man, that's good stuff. But once again, 4 tickets to the Mahoning Valley Scrappers to the first person. The answers our trivia question in the comments. And the question, once again, I'll say it throughout the show unless someone gets it. Who is the first Scrappers manager in franchise history? First Scrappers manager in franchise history. First person to answer in the comments gets 4 tickets to any Scrappers home game this season. Last week, Ty, the answer came like this. Boom. So, I mean, you got to be quick on the draw. It might come any minute. So, if you know the answer, make sure you're fast on that keyboard. You muted yourself. You're still muted. Still can't hear you. I think Ty's mic just went completely gone. Oh, he was putting up the banner.
There we go.
You know, you were muted that whole time.
Oh, was I? My bad. I didn't even
told
know.
him like 3 times and you didn't respond. I was like, well.
I had you a little bit down on the computer here, but yeah, I was adding that up. That way, it takes care of it for you. You don't have to constantly say it.
There you go. There's the banner. I forgot we had that technology. We're fancy here on Running Point. Ty, we had the football game last night, a football game in June. And I think it made everyone here kind of like, football season, nerves. You know, there were some upset tummies, you know, because football season brings joy but stress to Ysn. So, but we did have the Jack Irvin Classic. DJ Oakley, Todd Thorne, and Andy Hake were on the call for that game. It went really.
What a great call!
Football
What
was,
a great call!
I mean, it really was. Football was pretty good for the fact that these kids hadn't played since, you know, last fall. It was 7-7 in the first half. A defensive touchdown was one of those 7. But then, you know, they kind of found their groove. I think Trumbull County won 31-21 was the final score. And Antoine Brown wins the player of the game from Mora and JFK. No shocker there. We all know how good that kid is.
Oh man, he is he's lightning fast, man. And I mean, he's going to be fun to watch for the Eagles this season. And I mean, I know everyone here at Ysn gets the little grumbly in the tummy when you talk about football, but you know, everybody in the area, how much they thrive on this sport too. It's the lifeblood of this area too, of the Youngstown and surrounding area. So just seeing football again too gets them excited for August.
I'll tell you what, my grumblies aren't because, you know, anything about the football or the fall sports, is because they bring with it the cold weather of winter.
Yeah,
we don't get too much fall weather in this area of the country. We get pretty much like 1 week of fall weather, and then here's your 30 degrees. Good luck.
I love the football season, and I do love like actual fall weather when it's like that 70s 60s degrees, but it's like you go into that first football game and it's still in August, so it's still hot out, but it's like you have in your mind, it's like, wow, by like week 8, by the 8th game of this season, I'm really gonna be bundled up. It's gonna be like 30 degrees out. It's gonna be 40 degrees out. It's gonna be cold. Like,
let's be honest, 8th week is like optimistic.
Yeah.
Like there have been plenty of football seasons where you're in a parka in week 4.
Like, yeah, it gets cold. It'll get cold quick too. I think that's kind of why they're starting the football season earlier too, because you're going to get now. I mean, what did we say yesterday? And the first football Friday is what, August 19th this season?
Well, I don't know the exact number, but it's the
like third
Friday,
week.
I think it's going to be the 15th, and then volleyball starts the 20th. Yeah,
you might be right on that.
No, Friday, August 19th, and then volleyball starts that Saturday. So the
19th, the 26th, you're going to get 2 games now in August.
Mm-hmm. And it used to be the 26th. It used to be the 26th being the first week. Let's be real. They didn't move it back because of the weather. They moved it back for money. And for
absolutely for money. But so you think about like how early football's starting now. Like August 19th is an early start. You're getting 2 in August. You're going to get 4 in September. So really, week 10 is now going to be last week in October. That's going to be almost Halloween week, right? That should line you up roughly around that 3rd or 4th week in October. It should be, right?
Now you got me guessing here.
Well, 10 weeks of the season, big, right?
Week 3 would be September 2nd. Week 4 would be the 9th. 16th would be week 5. 6th would be 23rd. 30th would be
So then there's
7. Week 8 would be the 17th. Week 9 would be the 14th. And I mean, I said 17th. I meant 7th.
7, 14.
Week 8
So the
would be the
21st.
7th. Yeah, the 21st would be week 10. And
So
then the
week
playoffs
10
would start on Halloween weekend.
Oh wow, that's kind of cool. I kind of like the playoffs starting right then and there.
I mean, those underdogs could be real nightmares.
Yeah,
But
Anthony's already getting the headlines written down. He's like, I have so many.
I got it. I'm going to use the word haunt, nightmare. All these horror movie words that I really can't think of on the spot, which I'm disappointed in. But I'm going to use all these horror movie words for that first week of playoffs. It's already in noggin. Got it. In the bucket.
It's gonna be exciting. I can't wait for the upcoming seasons too, and I can't wait for the conclusions too of what we got this season, because right now in the baseball realm over at Ysn, and it's getting really, really interesting too. And I mean, in multiple levels.
It is. I mean, yesterday was kind of a day off for Ysn Park. There was one Class B game in Sharpsville, but Ysn Park kind of took a breath for the Thursday, and then all of a sudden, here we are back on a busy weekend for Ysn as far as Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we talked to 16U Whiting yesterday. We know we've been very upfront about what they're doing this season. 8-1 so far on the year, and offensively lighting the world on fire, and pitching is doing everything the offense is doing on their side. So now we go into 18U. Astros are undefeated too. Richie and DJ had this conversation yesterday. The way the Astros are playing right now and the roster they have right now, almost unstoppable.
It's a tough team.
Get players. Like, they're still waiting on something.
It's a tough team to beat. It's a who's of baseball talent in the area.
But it used to be 16U and 18U were pretty dominant Astro Falcons, right? So the fact that we're seeing more teams at the top of 16U, does that spell danger for the future, the next couple of years, when those players get into 18U for Astro, or do you think it's always going to be Astro's world?
I mean, it's tough to say. I mean, honestly, with all these players being where they are in 16U, you could definitely see them start becoming a threat come around 18U. And you know what? Scotty loves to talk about parity, but I mean, that's the case what you're going to see because of what Astro has done and what you said, Anthony, 18U, 16U for so long. It makes you step up your game. And it just so happens that 3 teams in that Livy division in Creekside, Avalanche, and Whiting are all stepping up their game enough to where they're ready, full gung-ho ahead, ready to make a statement over there in Ysn Park. And that might be the case come 18U too. They might have something to say going into the next levels. And
right now, all those teams, all those 3 that you mentioned, have a better record than the Astro Falcons at this point in 16U. So it's a valuable question. Like, how long is this reign of the Astro Falcons of the 18U going to last? Is this like the window, or I mean, obviously the Astro Falcons are always going to be amazingly good. So is the window closing a little bit though? Are teams starting to catch up, or is it going to be a big gap between 16U and 18U? And obviously the Falcons are going to, that's the question. Are they going to just keep their stamp on the 18U for years to come, or is the window kind of closing on them a little bit?
Well, you'll have to see too. I mean, this season it doesn't look like 18U is closing anytime soon, and it looks like
the window is not closing at all. It's wide open.
I think the window is like full open, and they're ready to step right through the window. Honestly,
but I like looking at the 16U and thinking about years to come. When those 16U players start to venture up in the 18U Class B. And they're kind of proving right now that right now, I know it's early in the summer. There's still a lot of baseball to be played. But as of right now, these 16U teams they're lighting the world on fire, and they're not named Astro Falcons.
And I love to see it because I love to see tough competition throughout. I think that just makes the whole league better. And I love seeing that these teams have stepped up their games too. And I mean, they're a force to be reckoned with. And going into 16U, yeah, Astros leading the other division, the Hernandez division, but it could realistically be anybody's game right now. Anybody's tournament going into it at the end of the season. So I'm excited to see when these teams have to lock horns.
It's almost like the NFC West in the Livy division and the NFC East in the Hernandez, because the NFC West has like the three best teams in the Class B record wise, and then you're leading the NFC East or the Hernandez, but you're still behind four teams in the whole grand scheme of things for Class B.
Yeah, I mean you got to lead though. In
all that counts is lead your division, right? That's
yeah.
what the teams in the NFC East will say, and that's what the Astro Falcons will say. We're beating the teams in our division. We're going to get that division crown, and that's what's going to matter when the playoffs come. Is did you win your division?
Give us a seat at the table. That's all that we need, right? I mean, that's all that you need is a seat at the table.
You brought up the word parity, and I know Scotty, not Steve. Scotty likes to talk a lot about parity, and I guess the question that comes to mind for me, and it's not just with Class B, but you see it in the world of baseball and the world of softball too. How much is parity worth when there's one team that is kind of head and shoulders above the rest? Like if there's parity in teams, let's say 2 through 25, but that one is like way up here. Does the parity still mean a lot, or is it just kind of thrown out the window when you're so top heavy?
That's a good question too. And I mean, I think it kind of, I don't know if there's a single answer for it, right? I feel like it's more of it depends on your situation and in what aspects are they still top heavy? Because I feel like no matter how good or how top heavy something is, I feel like if you can start instilling those kind of morals, those values, that foundation, right? If you can have that parity of that top heavy team, sooner or later you're going to be able to build, I feel like, that team or whatever your goal is to that kind of level. Maybe not exactly to that level, but you'll be able to build it up, I feel like, to contend. But in this case too, with it being baseball and anybody can win any given night too, I think it adds to it that if you can just do the things the right way and just see what other teams have done and have success in and be able to parody that, I think you can find success yourself.
Like for example, we see it in college football where there's a lot of parity in teams 5 through anyone, but then there's those 4 teams that are always in the playoffs, and that's just how it is right now. That it's top heavy. The NFL used to be top heavy. The MLB not so much. Baseball is hard to be super super top heavy with. I think there's been 5 different World Series champions in the last 5 years, if I'm not mistaken.
That's what I was saying. I think it depends on what you're talking about. And baseball is a tough sport, yeah. And you're right too. I think it's 5 different. And I don't think there hasn't been a repeat champion in years. As far as back-to-back champions, there hasn't been that in years. I can't remember. Probably 20 years ago, Yankees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the 90s, right?
Yeah, 90s was the last time I think there was a repeat World Series champion.
Now the Giants did it in consecutive even years.
Yeah, they did it.
boom, boom. What, 10, 12, and 14 were Giants?
Which is still pretty impressive for baseball. That's impressive to win that often in that short amount of time span.
Especially in those middle years, they weren't doing much.
They were bad. They took World Series rebuild, World Series rebuild, World Series.
But the question really comes to mind because I'm a softball fan. I watch college softball, and last 2 days we saw the dominance of Oklahoma softball, right? And they're just head and shoulders above everyone else right now. They lost 3 times this season, and they had 20+ run rule victories. And if there was a run rule in the championship series, it would have been the 2 games run rule done. But they do away with run rule in championship series. So the question is, yes, there's a lot of parity. We saw a lot of chaos, a lot of upsets in the tournament this year. But then you start wondering, does it mean anything if there's an Oklahoma in that bracket where you kind of, it's almost as close to a foregone conclusion as possible that they're going to win the national championship?
I think it's worth something because, like I said, just getting that seat at the table, right there. That's all that matters is
There
getting
were
that
a
seat.
lot of people that were kind of, not to cut you off, there were a lot of people on social media that were kind of like, did the parity hurt us because we didn't get our quote unquote best teams into the World Series to try to compete with Oklahoma because they were getting upset in the super regionals, or they were getting upset in the regionals? So it's like, it's one of those, like Oklahoma played an unseeded team in the championship series. No disrespect to Texas, they earned their way there, but then Oklahoma kind of run rolled them twice. So
Yeah,
like, the question is, where do we like, is parity? I guess we'll just keep saying it. Is parity good when there's a top heavy team?
I think it still is because that top heavy team can still fall. Oklahoma still has to get to that point too.
Right.
Like, I mean, they still got to win softball games to get to that point every season, and there's a chance every game that you could slip up. I mean, obviously, though, the more professional you get, the tougher teams are, right?
They
But
lost one game in the World Series, but they did lose to UCLA, and then they came back the next day and beat UCLA 15-0 to kind of
yeah,
poo-poo that. That's the other thing. Like, you have to beat that team twice in this setup. Like, it's not like you beat Oklahoma and okay, we're done with them now. Like, to win, you're gonna have to beat Oklahoma twice.
yeah.
No one did that this year. They only lost 3 times total.
It is very the when you that's the thing, like with college basketball playoffs, right? And being one game, that's why it's so beautiful because it's just one game. And that's why I feel like baseball and softball, like when you go one game, it makes it so much more interesting because anybody can win a game. Series, once you start making series, it more and more likely the higher the percentage goes that the better team is going to win. That's why when you like play the 7-game series, I think I'm almost 99% sure the best team usually wins a 7-game series, and I'm all right with that. Even saying that the Cubs beating Cleveland was the better team in that series, they won the 7-game series. That's how it is. I feel like once you start extending it out, the better team is going to win 4 out of 7 more likely than not most of the time.
And that brings us right back to high school and back to kind of our local, niche that we like to stay in. The high school tournaments are one and done, right? So that's what makes them kind of chaotic and exciting, and that's what makes that feeling of almost anybody has a chance, because there's no series in any sport, but especially we're talking baseball, softball. You can see the teams that going into a bracket, if there were series, you would say almost foregone conclusion this team's going to win a state championship. But there's not series. There's just one game. Like, would
So
Canfield lose 2 in a row? Would Canfield lose 2 in a row if that was the best 2 out of 3? Probably not. Probably not.
exactly.
It's not
Well,
like that. So we always have this argument before tournaments: is like, should we have series in the state semifinals, or should it go back to, or do we like the one and dones? And we always had that conversation. And the softball season this year kind of made me shift my mindset a little bit to liking high school being that one and done
I
kind of atmosphere.
I love it. I
used to be so mad at it. Like, oh, come on, that team, they're not better than us. They beat us one game because we made an error or whatever. But if we played them 10 times, we would beat them 9 out of 10 times. And that would used to irk me. But the fun of high school setup is that one time. And kind of like Doctor Strange, that one scenario where you win, and that's it. That's all it takes is one.
South Range. I mean,
like that in college, Oklahoma would be gone because they lost to UCLA. It would be done. You're done. You're out of the tournament, right?
and wouldn't that add so much intrigue to it? Because like that's what I've said, and that's what I love so much about like high school tourneys is that you have a chance, and just give me a chance, and anything can happen in a game. That's the thing. That's the mindset. Every game is a game 7 because anything can happen in a game. Just get me to that game.
Just look at our region in softball for Division III. You had Massillon Tuslaw, who had never won a regional championship in their whole program history, not one. And they were going up in that region. There were 2 teams that had both been to the regional final last year, and 2 teams that had the talent on the team to go back to state with Ursuline and South Range. They beat them both in one and done scenario. They just beat them both, and they won their program's first regional final, went all the way to the state state championship game. That might not happen if that regional is set up in a 2 out of 3, or set up like a regional in softball where they have a 4-team bracket and it's double elimination. Inevitably, you probably have to beat your South Rangers or Ursuline twice. Maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe it does. Maybe Tuslaw gets them twice. You never know. But maybe it doesn't. And, I think the South Range and Ursuline side of the argument would be like, no poo-poo to that. We're the better team. Let's play twice. But the Tuslaws of the world are sitting there like, it's great to have a one-and-done scenario, right?
To stay on path, though, that same South Range scenario, that 2018 South Range team,
Right.
if they're playing a 3-game series, does that 2018 South Range team win a state championship then?
Well, they have to go past 1-2, right? They have to go past their 1-2 punch. Who knows?
And that's the question, right? That's the question that it all arises. So I feel like you said, Ant, that one time where it paid off, where like South Range made a beautiful run on one and done games. They made a beautiful run and were able to clinch a 2018 state championship. That's just how it is sometimes. And that's what I love about it, because anybody can win a game. And especially in baseball, with whoever you throw out on the mound, because even the best pitcher can have a bad day. And that's the beauty of it. Baseball and softball too. It's no matter who you throw out on the mound in the circle, they can have a bad day.
Or you can make there's times when you make a really good pitch and it still gets hit pretty hard. Like it happens. We see it happen way too much to say it doesn't. How many times is like a slider that's not left like down the middle, but this maybe not in the dirt. It's in that middle spot. It's like at the knees, a slider at the knees, which is still a really good pitch. It still gets cranked out of the yard because they sat slider and blew it up. That still happens every now and then. So even a good pitcher doesn't have to have a bad day. A good hitter can have a good day and hit a really good pitcher's pitch out of the park.
And the big thing is too, I mean, when it comes down to baseball, especially, it's that number 2 guy that you depend on more than anything, because that's the guy that's pitching in your regional final and your state championship, typically, because you're pitching your
that mindset, which not everyone is, but I am. We had that conversation before the tournament. Some people save their ace for the championship, which I think is ludicrous.
I think you got to get to the championship first, right? You got to get there first to make sure.
We had this discussion too. Like, you got to get there, man. And some people get caught with their pants down because they try to save their best for the championship, and oops, we lost the semifinals. What happened? Well,
obviously, like last year's JFK Eagles, Cam Hollabaugh had a phenomenal playoffs, but so did Gavin Schrum.
People forget
stepped up big time in that.
People forget Cam Hollabaugh did not pitch any of the championship games, whether it be district, regionals, or state. He just got them there. And then Gavin Schrum was like, thank you for getting us here. I'll take care of it from here.
I mean, we had Gavin on too, and I mean, he had a great interview too, and he talked about that whole season, and he talked about just wanting to do it for Cam too, and play for your seniors. But that's what we talk about too, where guys step up big time, and that's where baseball players and baseball seasons are made too, is how far that number 2 can take you, because that number 2 then has to win the championships for you typically most times, because you're throwing your number 1 out there to get you to the championship game.
And look, for softball fans out there, high school is getting there. Like, high school is getting to the point when you cannot have one pitcher take you all the way to the state championship game. It took a long time to get there. It's been there in college for a while, maybe like 10 years in college. We start to see less and less teams succeed with just one ace. It's here in high school where you're seeing a lot less teams make deep tournament runs with just one pitcher. You can't do it anymore. It's hard to throw. The hitters are getting better. It's hard to throw one girl throughout the whole tournament run and say you carry us. Even Tuslaw with Rankle, she took him as far as they could, but eventually that ran out of gas, and Wheelersburg had 2 pitchers, and they used them both in the state tournament, and they pitched one in the semifinal and then came back with another one in the state championship. Wheelersburg wins the state title 5-2. Tri-Win, Division II powerhouse. They have 2 pitchers, right? So
blueprint.
Lakota West, they played Hoover. 2 pitchers kind of beat them, right? So we're starting to see it trickle down in high school that 2 pitchers is kind of the way. It's hard to go 1 throughout their whole season.
Well, the thing is, too, hitters can adjust when you get a second, a third, a fourth look at somebody, but
Imagine
cap
if,
that off at like 2, and it's like now you have to go completely different look for 2 new at bats. It's like it's gonna throw hitters in a whirlwind.
and this is what I was talking to Fitch players, or I should say parents all year. Just imagine if Lydia Spalding was on that team with Sydney Watts. That if that lined up, because then you would have Sydney Watts' velocity and a little bit of movement, but then you bring in a lefty like Lydia Spalding who has not as much velocity but a lot more spin, and that's a good 1-2 punch. Like I don't know if Hoover adjusts if you bring Lydia Spalding in that inning that they scored 3 runs, was it? Yeah, it was 3 because it was 3-2, then 5-3, right? So they scored 3 runs in one inning. You bring Lydia Spalding in the middle of that inning. I don't know if Hoover makes that adjustment and maybe Fitch, holds the
And
lead.
that's the thing. I think Fitch has some other pitchers too. And I mean, Coach Ward, I don't think is going to be shy in utilizing multiple pitchers in a season too, just to give breaks even in certain scenarios too, if you need to and if need be, because we're seeing that you're right, Anthony. That's the blueprint. It seems like across the softball world is 2 pitchers are a blueprint to success for a lot of these really good teams.
And then if you're like champion in 17, you got 3 of them. So,
yeah,
that was
you're
ridiculous.
just like bam, bam, bam. Like, we could just throw anybody. We're good.
They had 2 players that went into Division I and then a third college pitcher on their staff. And that's why they went through the whole tournament and didn't allow a single run.
Unbelievable.
Blessing of riches in that span of 3 years for a champion.
And I mean, if you look at baseball too, and compared to like what it was, as far as like when we were doing inning rules as opposed to pitch count now they're erring a lot more on the side of caution for these young arms, and I'm all for it because it's forcing teams to really start to figure out what we're going to do with pitchers now and how we're going to implement pitching and how many guys we're going to need to keep on a staff at a time. And I like the fact that we're seeing more and more arms and more kind of like bullpen and specialty guys at the high school level, even for arms.
I want to bring this up because we were talking about how things that have become realities in college softball trickle down to high school. It's funny because high school baseball is kind of flipped, where it's things that are working in high school baseball, you tend to lose them as you go higher in level. Like I think when kids develop their swings into the elite level, they start to become almost locked into one spot in the strike zone. And because they're so good at that one spot, how many MLB players or college players at the high level do we see get so pool happy? And that shift is starting to work on them because they can't make that adjustment because they're so focused on drilling the ball 450 feet. And because they can't, right? Like that's why I'm a firm believer that not every MLB baseball player should be looked at as follow this swing if you're learning how to swing, because they're good enough and talented enough to break some mechanic rules because they want to get launch angle and things like that. So in high school, though, where more and more hitters are able to just use the whole spray chart, right? We're not seeing a lot of pool happy, hitters in high school. Now that might be because of pitching. Obviously, that has something to do with it. But at the same time, I think the game plan in high school when you're not so elite at your swing becomes more of let me spray the ball around, let me do the basics, let me do the fundamentals of hitting. And then when you start to get elite, that kind of goes away a little bit because you're so good at one thing, you lock into one part of the zone and you start to drill everything that is in that zone. What do you think about that? And how development of baseball is kind of flipped from you see better fundamental hitters in high school, but then better like specialist hitters when you get into the elite levels of baseball.
In the MLB right now, home runs are trending at an all-time high. Batting average is trending low. Strikeouts at an all-time high as well. Strikeouts are through the roof right now. So I mean, it's no more protecting the plate and just being a good hitter anymore. It's like you said, and it's launch angle is a huge talk of things right now.
That's bad, but what I'm saying is those guys are talented enough to break those rules, right? But when you get into high school, like not a lot of guys at this level are talented enough to break those rules. So you see more old, I don't want to say old-fashioned, but you see more prototypical, use the whole field and do what you're supposed to do, have a wide game plan hitters, in high school baseball. And I think that's why one of the reasons why you see averages so high in baseball, because they go up with that game plan of, I just want to get a base hit,
Put the ball in play too. And I mean, I'd venture to say that if major leaguers even went out with that mindset, you might see some averages go through the roof now. I mean, you'd see some 350 plus hitters, I think. If
I understand that pitching is a big aspect in that.
Absolutely.
I'm not lost on that. Like,
because
no one in high school is throwing 98 in at your hands.
100 and 102.
Not too many high schoolers can move the ball like these pitchers at the elite level can. Game plans get a little bit easier when you're throwing a guy that's throwing 85 and maybe a little bit of movement compared to, a 95 mile an hour fastball plus an 84 mile an hour changeup. What are we doing here, right? And then they throw in the slider. It's like, come on. Be realistic. Like, how many high school guys have 4 really, really good pitches?
They got to develop along the way too, and that's the thing. In baseball, I feel like, especially in the high school level, if you see guys, so like, I'm not saying like you like coaches, especially, I know like paying attention to some of like the analytics and stats, and I mean that's fine with coaches too, but like as far as players are concerned, you're still developing as a baseball player. Baseball takes a lot of time to develop yourself in, whether you're a pitcher or a hitter too. And I mean, like for baseball players, essentially too, from like freshman to senior year, you grow a lot as a person too. Like your body goes through changes. You start building a lot more muscle. You're going to start naturally building more power. That's going to continue on through college ranks too. So like, and then when you look at the elite levels, like you're not going to have the necessary power that you're going to see in these elite levels just because you have a metal bat, right? Like, I mean, these guys got muscles in places you don't know muscles can exist right now.
They got muscles on your muscles.
Yeah.
But I mean, muscles on your eyeballs.
It comes from just developing yourself in the game. And I think that's the beautiful thing in high school is that we're seeing so many coaches in this area just take into consideration of just developing players too. And that's why you see these players go up with that mindset, put the ball in play, get bat the ball. And that's what develops these good swings and these good visions too, or visions, I should say, good eyes, I should say, at the plate, because these players are able to just take a lot of pitches, they see a lot of pitches, and they're able to establish where that strike zone is because they know where they need to protect.
Let's also be real. The technology at the elite level is compared to what we see. Like, what high school teams
have like every data you need.
What high school teams are using hit tracks, right? I mean, there's a baseball and softball now you can buy that have little micros, like little microchips in them that can track spin rate and velocity and how much your ball is moving. So you go in your bullpen, you're using these baseballs. It's an app on your phone. Like, there aren't high schools that are, at least not to my knowledge, there aren't too many high schools that are using that. How beneficial is it to a pitcher to every ball you throw in the bullpen, you can look at your phone and see, okay, my spin rate's here, my curve ball's moving this much, and you don't have to use the eye test. You have an analytical app that tells you exactly how much your ball's moving and what your velocity is and all that stuff. Like that's just one of the blessings that technology has in college and high school and pros.
Do you think we can get too stat happy with baseball sometimes?
I think paralysis by analysis is a real thing. I
don't know if I'm alone in this, but I feel like as far as like baseball is concerned, yeah, like stats are great. And I feel like you can look at numbers and you can directly correlate like why something's going wrong or why something's going right. But I'm also a big believer that baseball is just a game. It's a little bit of luck and a whole lot of skill. And that little bit of luck plays a huge factor where you can't necessarily measure out why some things happen the way they do sometimes in baseball. They just happen. I don't know if it's just me being naive saying that there's just not an explanation for that yet. But I feel like there's certain things in baseball that can't hold a measure to create value or create weight on, if that makes sense what I'm saying. Like I feel like can't break everything down into numbers and stats and analytics in baseball.
There are some guys that love to think in the box, like it works for them. And then that's what I love about baseball and softball. There's no one way to do it. There's no like one swing that works great. You see a lot of different kind of little changes in swings that work for every player, work for every body type. But a lot of players can overthink at the box. Like, oh man, okay, it's a 2-1. They're probably coming at me with a slider. I gotta when in reality, all you have to do is just kind of take a breath. A lot of players say something that has nothing to do with baseball and softball to kind of get their mind off of thinking. It's called the clear key. So they'll say something like, I love my brother. Something off the wall that has nothing to do with baseball at all. And it kind of brings in that reaction instead of overthinking things. It makes you react to stuff instead of, getting what I call paralysis by analysis at the plate. I think that's a real thing that can happen to you.
I think so as well, and I think like definitely to break that down further, I guess is just to overthink or to simplify. I guess just you overthink things. I feel like if you start putting too many numbers, especially in like a high schooler space, like too many numbers and too many things to like pay attention to while you're at a plate or pitching, like.
As much as all that technology would be nice to have in a high school teams, like I don't know if a 16-year-old that's in high school baseball that not necessarily like wants to go and play elite baseball, I don't know what their brain would do if you threw them all those numbers and said, hey, this, remember this about this pitcher. And they're like,
it's a pitcher's job in the elite level to pay attention to all that stuff and keep track of that. A high schooler's got like 7 classes that he's also taking too, that he can't necessarily, I don't think, be paying attention and trying to keep track of every single analytical thing that's happening on the mound or in the box.
I feel like in high school, you're sitting there thinking like, okay, I'm going to hunt outside, react inside. And that's all you're thinking. You're not thinking of like, I'm going to hunt outside, react inside. I'm going to hunt the fastball, react to the changeup, stuff like that. I don't think you're diving into, okay, this pitcher, when it's 2-1, he likes throwing this. He's going to attack me on the inside corner in the hands. Stuff that you get from the analytics from the higher level of baseball. I don't know if you throw that in a high schooler's face.
Does parity work in baseball if you try to do it off those top level major league teams to the high school level? Does parity work at that?
I think if everyone got the same technology.
You think it could?
I think you would see the elite teams even utilize it even more. And then, like we said, I think there would be some teams that kind of get paralysis by analysis. And maybe it would close the gap a little bit, but you'd also see those teams that are maybe in like the middle to lower range, they would get left behind, I think.
Because I feel like in other sports, like in football, we've seen like high school teams parody elite level teams, like going as far back as like the 80s and starting like utilizing the shotgun and everything like that. And then that goes forward. And I mean, we've seen high school teams have success in that. I think we've seen high school teams have success in basketball realms too.
These sports like football and even volleyball and basketball, you have scouting tools and you can use them, and you have time between games to really have conversations with your players. Like, okay, she likes shooting the 3, stay back on her. She can't drive with her left hand. Things like that they can keep in mind. But I think because baseball is more of a numbers game, I think it's a lot to put in a kid's brain, especially if they're not like baseball savvy. And let's face it, not everyone in high school is going to try to pursue baseball as a career, or even as a next step in college. So not everyone has that high baseball IQ to throw analytics in their face and be like, hey, you need to think about 2-1 pitch, where they're going. I don't know. I think it's easier in those other sports that have the huddle cams and breaks between games, and you have legitimate practice time where you can go through game plans and things like that. There's not a lot of scouting practice time in baseball and softball in high school. Maybe that's a good thing now that we're talking about paralysis by analysis.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like I said, baseball is just in a different kind of world or a different island. And like you said, Ant, it's kind of flip-sided as far as like baseball is concerned, is where it's like the high school stuff kind of you see kind of lose its way the higher you go to. It doesn't trickle down necessarily from the elite level like you see from other way.
It's flipped, like, because I was thinking about it last night when I was watching the softball championship series. I was like, man, you're seeing a lot of things in this college level that you're starting to see in high school. But then when you watch high school baseball, you see a lot of things that kind of stop happening in the elite college and professionals because the level of baseball gets so much better. It's just funny how that's kind of a flipped economy. And that proves the sports are different. Like, it's not just a ball. I mean, there are similarities between baseball and softball, but like, don't think that they're just exactly this carbon copy sport. There are differences in each realm of thinking, which also drives me crazy when ESPN puts guys that are clearly baseball guys on softball, because you can tell real quick.
I don't think like this is a controversial statement to say, but like in other sports too, right? Volleyball, basketball, football. You don't necessarily need to be the best football, basketball, volleyball player if you're a really good athlete. If you're a really good athlete, they could find a spot for you on that team, I believe. Where in baseball, right? If you're a really good athlete, but you can't hit the ball, you can't lay down a bunt, can't really pitch, other than putting you defensively somewhere, is there really a spot in a batting lineup or in a pitching rotation for someone who's just athletic in baseball? Because it's so much more, I feel, of like skill.
I've seen a lot of, like, because high school you can't handpick players, right? You got what you got, right? So I've seen a lot of high school coaches get pretty creative with just athletes they have. Like, I don't have a player that's a quote unquote softball baseball player, but they're an athlete, and I'm going to utilize that. Like, whether it be in softball, turning him into a slapper and saying, I'm going to hit you from the left side. Your job is to get the ball on the ground and use your athleticism to get to first. And if you get to first, your speed takes over. You're just going to be a base runner. So I think in high school, there are ways that coaches, especially ones that, don't have, 7 or 8 guys that are going to college on their lineup, there are ways to kind of say, okay, you're not the best skilled, talented baseball player, but you're an athlete. You're a really good athlete. And we find ways to use that, because you have to survive in high school, because you don't have handpicked players.
Yeah, exactly. And I was kind of more or less referring to like those elite levels, those college levels too, where you see like the basketball, football, and as far as that with baseball too. But I mean, like even in the high school level, like a coach, if you're a great athlete, a coach still's got to teach you to lay down a bunt. You still got to be good, I should say, to put it in the favor of the athlete. You still got to be good at laying down a bunt to beat it to first. You still got to be good at reading a pitcher to know I got to steal to go to second here, because I got
to. I mean, that's kind of true in every sport. Like,
well, yeah, that is kind of true.
You got to have good defensive, fundamentals in basketball, or else they're going to dribble right by you. You got to have good footwork.
Well, I guess
understand what defense you're playing. So
what I'm saying, I guess, and to kind of just wrap it into a point, I feel like there's more of an open space or a place for you in other sports if you're an athlete than baseball. Like there's more spots for you to fill if you're just athletic in football and basketball and volleyball than there is in baseball, where I feel like in baseball it's a lot more skill positions first before like athletes. Like you see great athletes too on a team, but like, what, I guess, I don't know if you know what I'm saying, but I feel like there's more.
I kind of get it. I don't know if I fully agree with it per se, but I get what you're trying to put at, where they're like, if you're on a football team and you have maybe, let's say you have 4 football players on your roster that are like legitimate players, but you have 12 guys that are just athletic guys. Like they're not totally skilled at football, but they're just athletes. You're saying you might be in a better boat than if you had that same scenario on a baseball or softball team.
Yes.
It's interesting.
But I mean, not to say that you can't get by with it, and not to say that teams haven't gotten by with it. That's my thought on it, is where like baseball, I feel like you need to have a little bit more guys, unless those 4 guys that you have are really skilled and they're in the right areas too, right? Like, I mean, it all depends on like the positions that they're skilled in too, because like it takes skill to play everything.
To further this conversation, let's just start with football. In football, what positions do you think you could get away with just being athletic and still be a good football team?
Going to the elite level, you can't get away with anything.
We're talking high school. Like I said, scenario. You have 4 skill guys that are football first guys. They're gonna play college football or whatever. Then you have the rest, 7 in your starters, and maybe like let's say like 10 athletes that are just like they're this pure.
I feel like defense is where coaches often put more athletically gifted guys, because offense.
You're talking like secondaries.
Secondary sometimes, yeah, I would say that, or just like, yeah, I feel like defense, because you don't have to read as many plays, and I feel like that's where like skill goes for like as far as like football goes. Not that you need to know how to set up defensively too, which that does require skill. Everything requires skill, right, Anthony? We've already agreed on that. But like on the offensive side, I feel like there's more plays. You need to know plays. You need to know where you're setting up. Even if you're on the offensive line, right? Where I feel like there's defensive backs. I feel like you can get away with like your linebackers though too, if you have stud athletic linebackers.
I mean, if they fill the wrong gap, you're hosed.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but I feel like
gaps you got to in linebackers, especially if you're like a Mike linebacker, your job is to read the whole offense and get your players in the right position.
Yeah, I mean, but
I don't know.
Linebackers too.
I can maybe give it to safeties. Like safeties, your job is basically to play center field back there and react more than look, react more than analyze. You're just reacting to the ball in the air. You're reacting to where the quarterback's going. You're reacting to the routes. So safeties are a lot more reactive. But at the same time, like if you're playing a zone defense, your safeties have to know what zone they're in, and they have to know what zone everyone else is in. And if they step outside that, or if they break their zone, then you give up a big play.
Yeah, but do you think it's easier to teach an athlete a zone defense or an athlete to hit a baseball?
I don't know.
That's the ultimate question, right? Because, like we said, everything requires skill, right? You do need some skill to play. You can't just be an athlete and just react to what's happening and not know what the hell's going on the football field, right? Like that's not happening. You're not just running out there like, let's just go, let's go. I got this. But no, like if you're an athlete, you still need to have skill in the sport, right? But I'm just saying, like, I feel like if you're an athlete, it's easier to teach an athlete a zone defense than it is to hit a baseball. Hit a baseball fair, put a baseball in play, and you know what I mean. Like that's just my opinion on the matter on that too. Because like especially too, even in basketball, like, I think you could definitely
see a lot of high school teams with guys that aren't necessarily baseball first that find a way to do it. You know, they find a way to do their job, which once again, incredible to high school coaches, because you might get a kid who's starting freshman season who's never picked up a bat. But then by like 10th or 11th grade, their average is at, 350 or 400.
Props to the coach and props to the kid for building that skill then, because then they do have skill in the sport.
No college coaches have to do that. Like they don't have to get a guy that's never picked up a bat before and say, in 2 years, you're going to be a quality asset to this varsity team. Like that doesn't happen in college.
Why baseball coach
development. Not saying that college players don't develop between freshman and senior year, but you're not taking a dramatic step of trying to teach the fundamentals of the game in like 2 seasons.
Yeah, and that's why baseball coaches deserve a lot of credit, because they're able to build that skill within high school players too. If you are an athlete, that's why I'm saying it's harder, and that's props to players and props to coaches that are able to build that skill. It's harder, I feel like, to learn how to swing a bat being just an athlete than it is to learn a zone defense, or to learn how to, well, like in basketball, maybe not to, I don't know, because like shooting a basketball is definitely difficult, but like in basketball defensively, right, that's pretty much that's a lot of reactionary too. Like you could just say, keep that guy, don't let that guy score, don't let that guy get in front of you.
We've seen a lot of teams in high school have guys that are just really good athletic defenders. Not necessarily your scorers. They're not going to have great handles or shoot really well, but they're lockdown defenders because they're athletic.
Yeah, you need to have some basketball skill guys to win, just like you need anything. But you could get away with being just a freak athlete in basketball and just going out there and being a lockdown defender.
In that mindset, you could have a team full of players that aren't necessarily super talented at basketball, but athletic, that play really good defense and keep teams down, and then score just enough to win.
Yeah, but you need to have the skill
You don't see that too often.
Yeah, you need to be able to have skill too. I mean, don't get me wrong, like you said, and we're going to keep reiterating it. You need skill for any sport you play. You need to be skillful at what you do.
I know everyone. Anthony's the women's sports guru at Ysn, so I don't want to sound like super like biased, but like volleyball, I feel like because of the fact that you have to have to get a point, not just to win a set, just to get a point, you have to have good pass, good set, good hit. it's hard to get that with players that don't know what they're doing out there.
It is tough to get with that too. And I mean, we didn't go into volleyball too. Like as far as like sports, we talked about like where you could kind of put like athletes. I mean, I would probably say just defensive specialists, right? You could do like a good defensive specialist as far as
you could be a good athlete to get to a ball, but to be a good volleyball team, you have to place that pass. You can't just get to the ball. You have to aim it and make sure your setter's
exactly. That is a good point because you have to make sure it's a good hit. You can't you can't just dig it and then send it to the rafters and then it'd be a good dig. Like you need to be able to actually put a good dig on it. But
to be like even less dramatic, like you have to be good, you have to make sure your setter's not running around the court trying to get the ball. Yeah. So your sets have to be on target. Your passes have to be on target. So it's not good enough to just dig the ball. You have to dig the ball. You have to put it in a good spot. And then your setter has to put it in a good spot. And then your hitter has to be able to put it away efficiently. A lot of moving parts. And a volley lasts like 3 seconds. So a lot of moving parts in about 3 seconds. Hard to just be athletic and throw you in there and say, hey, you're going to do a good job. But once again, high school teams find a way to do it. Because the coaches are really good at developing athletes at this level.
I don't think you can get a freak athlete to be good at golf.
No,
that's a tough one.
No, because you got to have a golf swing.
I think Brian Tolnar will agree with me on that one. I don't think you could get a freak athlete. That's one sport, right? Golf.
I want to write that, like Brian, like high school, especially high school, like there are going to be golfers that come to your program that aren't HAGA golfers that are going to go win tournaments in college. But to be a good program, you have to develop that. So how do you take someone that's just a really good athlete and try to tool them into a good golf player? Like your athletic ability
obviously you're going to have strength in places especially if like you're a good baseball player, you probably there could be translation, but like if you're like a good football player and you're a strong guy, I'm sure there's ways to implement that into a golf swing.
You're too ripped to swing because you can't flex your muscles.
It crushes the ball to dust and powder just there the force of hitting the ball just evaporates.
You pick up that powder, you walk into the green, you pour it in the hole and say hole in one.
It's like, hey, I'm not going to argue. You got it. That's a hole in one. That's it.
Like that cartoon, I forget what cartoon it was, but the kid hits a baseball and it breaks into 27 pieces and all of them get caught. Game over.
It's done. You're out. We'll have to talk to Brian about that because
the setup to that joke was we can't be that bad at baseball, and then the kid hits the ball in 27 different pieces and they all get caught and it's like game over.
Any other sports that you can think of that? I mean, there's obviously there's intellectual based sports too. I mean, if we're considering chess a sport, right? What other sports can't you get away with just having athletic ability in? Because like golf, I think is a great example of
bowling.
that.
You got to have good form in bowling or you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's definitely. I think that's good for a skill based one.
I know swimming is really athletic, but like if you don't.
You gotta know how to swim, right?
If you don't have good form, like you're not going to swim efficiently through the water. You're going to be flailing. Like there are a lot of people that can swim, but they're not going to be like high level swimmers as far as speed and efficiency go because a lot of people, waste moves and don't all the fundamentals of going to swimming, like how much water you're pushing away from your body and your ape index. For people that don't know what your ape index is, like if you stand out, put your arms to your side, and then it's what the difference is between your wingspan and your height. So that tells you how much reach you're getting on your swim. Yeah, you didn't know I could break down swimming. So it tells you how much reach you're getting on your strokes. So your ape index you have to understand that. There's your lesson. So yeah, I think swimming, but it could definitely, you could just teach an athlete how to swim properly, and if they're built muscular, that could probably work for you.
Yeah, like I'm thinking
probably a big one where you could teach an athlete how to
tennis
as long as you get them how to react to a tennis. We saw what Nathan Craig said it was his first year of tennis this year. So
yeah, I'm trying to think of that too, and thinking of that too, like just asking coaches then what do you do if you have like an athlete that comes to you and just says like, I've played sports, or, you know, like I'm athletic. Like, especially I feel like if you've played other sports, I think you can always relate something to
I think
something.
those Olympic sports are going to be the ones that are hardest to just say, hey, I'm athletic, I'm going to do it. Like the fencing and
that is pretty.
Yeah, you get they're sports because they're in the Olympics, but are they really, but like archery, things like that.
Yeah. That, I mean, those are sports too. Technically, those are sports,
yeah.
and I mean, that's
if you tell an archer they're not a sport, you better have some protective.
You better watch out. Then they're gonna be pretty upset at you.
That was pretty
but
good.
No, I think like out of all the sports that in the high school level that's OHSAA sanctioned, right? Bowling, golf are probably the two I would think, right? That are maybe swimming and diving, right? Bowling, golf.
I don't like athlete. Hey, go have a good form dive.
Yeah, diving would be one because I was like looking through the sports. I would say probably golf, bowling, diving are probably your top three, right? Where you can't. If there's a sport where I feel like you can't get away with just being athletic.
Wow, this conversation is really going into deep dive. Do you think baseball, softball is up there, but in front of those sports, or do you think those sports have the edge? And we'll take a break.
Those sports have the edge. As far
do you think golf, bowling, and what else did you say? Diving. So those are above baseball. In fact,
as far as like
getting away with,
you can get away more with being an athlete in baseball than you could with those three sports. I think so. Yeah, I think you need it's all skill, mental with golf too. It's definitely skill and mentals with golf.
All right, we want to know what you think. Let's know in the comment section some sports you think that are hard to get away with just simply being an athletic specimen. And also, I want to remind everybody, you can see the banner right below us that the trivia question for today is name the first Scrappers manager in franchise history. The first person to get it right in the comments will win free tickets to any home Scrappers game this season. So make sure you get on that and win yourself 4 tickets to a Scrappers game this season with answering that trivia question. We're going to take our first break of the day. We'll be back on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens. On air, online, Wednesday afternoon weather update,
very dangerous,
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
But now you can see every school, to the smallest school, to the intermediate schools, to the schools in the outlying areas. It gives you coverage that you could just never get to before. It's something that's great to experience, and it's opened up a whole new wave of sports viewership. The possibilities are endless here at YSN. Push the envelope every day. Try something new. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, let's try another angle, and we just keep moving forward. My name is Mike Ackelson, and my sports network is your sports network.
reliability, innovation, scale. These three values are those we look forward to in our business and in our team. If you're ready for a reliable employer who looks constantly to think outside the box in big ways, we're ready for you. Apply now. Help us push the envelope and deliver success. Envelope 1. Take that one extra step.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell. And Ty, we had a long discussion before the break. It actually turned into an hour-long discussion, basically based on where you fit in if you're just a pure athlete into sports. Don't know how we got there, but it was a fun one for sure. Let's get back on track a little bit and go over some new baseball participants that have confirmed their way into the All-Star game on June 25th. We will start with Columbiana's Brady Cridler, who will be representing the Clippers on June 25th at Bob Scene Park. We also got to announce yesterday that Gavin Schrum from JFK has confirmed that he will be there on the 25th to represent Warren JFK. I mean, two of those guys that we've had interviewed on YSN, during the season. Columbiana, a plethora of talent. Gavin Schrum. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Shrummy. Good old Gavin Schrum. Schrum dog millionaire. He's a dog, though. I mean, looking at him, he's the captain, shortstop, and great pitcher for the JFK squad. I mean, you look at it, Columbiana. It was take your pick, honestly, from the talent pool that they had. And I mean, Brady Cridler stepped up, and I mean, we love to see him too. Another one of Columbiana's finest too for the Clippers. That's going to be represented at Bob's.
And I think because you said I think that's why there's more than one Columbiana player being represented. We'll go into the next one that was announced today. And hey, speaking of Columbiana, it is Riley McElwain from Columbiana. He's getting the nod, and he has confirmed that he will be there on the 25th to represent the Clippers program that had such a strong season this year.
Want a chance to meet the All-Stars? You can see Riley McElwain and a Gavin Schrum player profile done on Running Point 2 on our YouTube page. You can also make sure you hit that subscribe and notification bell to make sure you get updated on those videos.
You're taking my prompts right out of the
Gotta get it.
You're doing it yourself now. I don't even have to ask.
gotta get it out of the way, right? YSNlive.com too for the stories.
He's like Pavlov's dog. I've kind of worked it right into his behavior pattern that he knows exactly. Now sit, Ty. We go into the next one. Also from JFK, Michael Mora will be representing the Eagles for the All-Star game on the 25th. And we had a chance to talk with him. You can find his player profile on ysnlive.com or our
going
YouTube
to West Point. Going to West Point too. So it's a great interview.
We have announced that Anthony Warner will be representing the Louisville Leopards. And when you haven't
Dumb.
given up an earned run in over a month.
Dub. You're sending Dub out there.
Dub City.
And I mean, we've had Anthony Warner on too. So I mean, you get a chance to meet him as well.
Hey, you know where you can find that player profile, Ty? ysnlive.com and our YouTube page. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notifications bell because you don't know what the algorithm for YouTube is going to do, and you don't want to miss any of the video content that we put up on our YouTube page. And if you hit that notifications bell, you'll always be alerted every time that videos go up, almost on the daily. I would say very confidently there aren't too many days that we go without posting at least one video on YouTube, whether it be a post-game interview, player profile, coach's corner, highlights, anything else that is the video content. Our shows, Running Point, Casual Sports, Power Hour, all go on YouTube. They're all archived on YouTube. So make sure.
Yeah, our stuff gets reposted on YouTube 5 days a week, so you at least get that once a day. Plus, the weekend always gets flooded with videos most of the time, anyway. So,
and I can look at our bar graph, and like 3% of people that watch this show are subscribed on YouTube. So, come on, 97% of people that are watching aren't subscribed. That's wrong. You better subscribe, or I'm coming.
Ludicrous. Ludicrous. You got to get updated too.
That's ludicrous. Move. Get out of the way. That's ludicrous. Ryan Petro, back on track. Ryan Petro will be representing the Canfield Cardinals as a member of the All-Star game. He has approved and confirmed his participation. So you'll be able to see Mr. Petro join the All-Star game and be there on the 25th at Bob Scene Park.
As a pair of cards too, as I believe it's him and then Richie's brother Josh too. Josh Giuliano's also making an appearance too, and I mean he's been phenomenal for that Cardinals squad for the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, I mean, does phenomenal do it? Does phenomenal do it justice?
Is it enough justice? I mean, when you're batting 500, you're doing something right.
Is there another word that we can use? Is there another word we can use?
No, it's going to be really cool because if I'm not mistaken, and I don't believe Josh Giuliano had any plans for baseball after. He wants to go into college too, and he wants to go into academics. So this All-Star game will be the last time he's going to be donning the Clippers uni, if I'm not mistaken, right?
These are some announcements. These are some announcements that happened a couple of days ago that we didn't get to on Running Point. So I want to throw them out there and give them some love. Beaver locals, Avery Weingand will be representing the Beavers at the All-Star game. Then we'll have, as well as Drew Walker from Heartland Christian. He'll be representing the Lions at the All-Star game on the 25th as well. Can we, the Lions and Heartland Christian, what an incredible season they had. Upset a couple people in the tournament, made some noise in that bracket, had a great record against an independent schedule. Mark Franken, first year, did a great job.
Love what Franken's doing over there. Love the Walkers. Love the Morgans. I love everyone on that Heartland Christian team. They had a phenomenal season too, and they put together a heck of a year.
The only downside to Mark Franken being the coach is he can't be the voice of Heartland baseball.
Yeah, unfortunately.
If you ever heard him call, especially the basketball games that Heartland had, thrillers that they had in that Purple Palace. And Mark Franken had some of the best calls that we see on YSN. So we missed him on the mic, but we're definitely proud of his endeavors as a coach because he did a really good job this year with that Heartland Christian team.
Absolutely. And I'm excited to see how it carries forward going in the future, Coach.
And here's another kid that is just, like we said, swaggish. He's got that shortstop swag, man. JT Popek, he'll be representing Popek. Sorry, I knew I was going to do that. JT Popek, if I was going too fast, my brain was going to slip. JT Popek will be representing Louisville, the shortstop with the most swag on any roster.
I felt like you were looking at teleprompter. That was like Popek.
My brain was teleprompter, and if I let it go for too long, I'm sure DJ would have come in here and be like. I fixed myself really, really quick. I'm conditioned just like you. I'm like Pavlov's dog myself. I'm very conditioned to
whoever JT ends up on the on whoever's team he ends up with on the All-Star game. If you're on the mound, Shortstop's taken care of. You don't got to worry about that.
Yeah,
I mean,
locked
if it's
down.
on the left side of the infield, he's got it. He'll take care of
Shortstop
it.
spot is taken care of. Shallow left field is taken care of. Shallow center field is taken care of.
He's got it.
5-6 hole. No, that's good. Up the middle, done. You're good.
He's good. You're good. You don't got to worry.
You can tell your second baseman to pretty much just play the line at that
point. Just play the line. You're good.
That shift? You have a first baseman, second baseman right next to each other, and then you have your shortstop just covering this massive macaroni.
The shortstop is standing on second base. Just
that's what we call the elbow noodle shift. You're covering this big semicircle of ground. It looks like an elbow noodle.
Oh man.
I'm sure Popek could do it.
Oh, I'm sure. He's already. I've seen him play. I think one, maybe two baseball games. I think maybe one. I think I only seen him play the one. The one I seen him, he made 2 highlight reel plays in the one game. So I mean, like, you got that for a whole season, man. Oh man, I can imagine the fun times they were having down there in Leopard Country.
I'm just sad that we only got to see 2 years of his career as far as covering Louisville, because last season was the first that we had Louisville as a team. And of course, 2020 didn't happen. So we only got 2 years of covering Mr. JT, but it was a great 2 years, and we're definitely going to continue supporting him as he continues his endeavors.
Yeah, exciting too. And you can see him again on June 25th at Bob Seton Park for the YSN All-Star Game.
I'm pretty sure, because he's a Louisville guy and Brian Warner's coaching, if we do the same thing that we did for basketball, he'll be locked into Coach Warner's team.
Yeah.
You get your own players. I think that's a rule that we've kind of
Anthony Warner doesn't go on the same team as Coach Warner. He wants the opposite. He wants to pitch against his dad for once.
All right, Dad. Time to show you what it's done.
So I'm trying to show you how I shut lineups down.
It's going to be on your team until you grounded me, and now
until you grounded me.
Now it's on.
Now it's on. Oh man! But no, June 25th for that baseball All-Star game, and I believe June 26th we announced the day after for our softball All-Star game. So it's literally we're gonna take care of you for a weekend.
7 o'clock at YSU softball complex. So the day after the baseball All-Star game, we'll have the softball All-Star game, and we just started sending out our invitations, so we'll get our confirmations in the next days, and we'll start posting the participants of the YSN All-Star softball game, as well as we'll continue to post players that are going to be participating in the baseball game. We've said a lot, but really, as far as how many we're going to have, I mean, we've only put out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We've put out 17 players so far for baseball. So we have a lot more to kind of get out there. So your baseball announcements are not done, and your softball announcements are coming very, very soon.
We're looking forward to it too. And I mean, I can't wait until we start seeing all the drop-ins of these players' names. That's what's going to be really fun.
And what I think is cool is we're able to have them at the same places we did last year. So we're going to have YSU softball complex filled to the brim. There are going to be people out in the lawn, people in the outfield bleachers, people probably in McDonald's parking lot with a Target sign for players like Cindy Watts, like hit it here.
Hit it here, right here, please.
Right here, and then the arrow pointing, because I've seen one ball get to that parking lot, so it is possible.
That's awesome too. That's awesome. I would love nothing more than to see someone just tank one.
If that happens, I'm going right into my McDonald's tagline, like ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm going right into that call. Like, you can't stop me. But yeah,
he said you can't stop me.
You can't stop me. I've seen one ball get hit that hard. Stevie Taylor, former South Range Raider, played for YSU for 4 years. Cranked the ball into the parking lot at McDonald's as a member of the YSU Penguins. Hardest hit home run I've ever seen on that field.
That's definitely impressive too, because I mean, you got to clear some distance.
Now,
to be able
there are some players who I've seen mash balls that might be in this roster. I'm not going to give away any, but there are some. Let's going over some players that I've seen hit balls hard, like Elena Scavina last year. She hit a home run at Field of Dreams. I don't know if you've ever been to S1 on Field of Dreams. But there's like I don't think it's the restrooms. I think it's a shed that's out in center field. He hit one off the roof of that. So that's a pretty big mash. Katie McDonald hit one into the trees at North Elementary School. The squirrels were running away. I mean, it was their home, and she just destroyed it.
She took it out.
She was aiming for it too. I've seen some pretty hard hit balls by some players that don Ysn colors that might be on the Ysn All-Star game. Not going to give away any names. Not going to do any spoilers. You know, you never know. You never know who's going to pop on. But I've definitely seen some very hard hit balls from softball players. So I'm confident that someone can get into that McDonald's parking lot.
I think that'd be some call, wouldn't it? If someone if you called that shot for somebody right now, that someone hits it in the McDonald's parking lot, I'll be so surprised once June 26 rolls around.
Get yourself a Big Mac while you're over there. When I look at it, though, I think I might just I would just sneak into the pitcher's circle and be like, we need a home run into the parking lot. Give her a changeup down the middle.
That'd be you. You being a crooked coach. If you were the coach again, you'd be like, change ups down the middle, nothing else. We need
I get out to that front step of the dugout, be like 3, 3, 2, 1, 5, and that's the sign for change up down the middle.
Every time.
And I'm banging the trash can to let the player know it's a change up.
You're tipping your own pitches. You're letting them know that it's just a bad coach. Like it's obvious and apparent. You're bang on a trash can. Oh man! But now, in all seriousness, that's going to be a great night too. Great 2 nights. I can't wait for end of June.
Last weekend in June, and I think the first day of summer is officially that 21st. So the summer solstice will be 4 days before. Crazy things happen on the first week of summer. We know that the summer solstice brings some chaos out of the world. So here we go, 25th, 26th, 4 days after the summer solstice. We're going to be playing an All-Star game.
We're going to take care of you big time, too, because that's going to be right into the weekend, too. So you're going to have Bobstein Park all that week, plus BCB and all the travel ball, and then you're going to have the weekend covered, too.
And then, it'll take you right into the holidays. Is July 4th is the next weekend. I think what is it? I'm doing my math. It's hard when you flip the calendar to the next month on where they line up.
It is. July 4th would be
a Monday.
July
Monday,
yeah.
A week from the Monday after that. So the next weekend will be July 4th weekend, and we're going to enjoy that, take a little bit of a breath before we get into the second stretch of the summer where Ysn Park will start having Class B baseball in full swing, and the playoffs will start in the second half of July. We have a comment.
Ty does not hit tanks.
Whoa. Wait a minute. Does Ty hit tanks?
Ty does not hit tanks, Robert Smith. I appreciate the gas to me up. I don't think Ty can hit a tank over a center field wall.
Are you underselling your abilities to kind of, or are you serious? Like you can't no tanks for Ty?
I don't think you're going to see Ty take a ball over the center field wall. Well, we could see that. We might be able to put it to a test, but I don't think you're seeing Ty take a ball over the center field wall.
Someone that used to host a show thought that they could take a wiffle ball across the street through the parking lot into the building across the street. So as long as you're not thinking that you're that good, I think you'll be fine.
I don't think I'm that good. We'll see too. Maybe if I'm getting served up meatballs, I might be able to throw a little bit of distance on it. But I don't know. Depends on which center field wall. Seen? I don't know. That's a shot, man. That is a shot over center field.
He's like, I feel the dreams. I can do it.
Oh yeah. Give me like a 200 feet straight away dead center. Absolutely. I think I could clear that. When we're talking like 400 plus, it gets tough then. It gets a little bit tough.
Did you play baseball in your youth?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Have you ever hit a tank?
I've never hit a tank, no. That's why I said Ty doesn't hit tanks.
You ever come close?
A couple of times too. Mostly singles, doubles. Slap shots, singles, and doubles.
With your stature, that surprises me. I thought you'd come to the plate being the Big Bertha, like, oh, here we go.
No, quick swing, slap shots, singles, and doubles. Never never had the big monstrous swings too. Probably
So you're
tears.
like you're like the Tony Gwynns of the world that are just like serve it in the left field.
Yeah, just slap it. Just slap it. Make contact. I mean, literally like that kind of mindset, that mentality of just see ball, hit ball.
If you had to guess what your career average was, what would you think?
Probably, I would say if a career average, probably somewhere in like, I'd say like 280 range, 280, 290 range. Wasn't the greatest hitter. Wasn't like the greatest as far as that. I got on base. I got my hits here and there. Probably like 280, 290.
When was your last do you remember like the last baseball game you've ever played? Like when you had to hang up those cleats?
Yeah, it was summer ball of when I was 18. I think summer ball when I was 18.
You know, they were talking about it on the broadcast last night for the softball championship series, and it's so true. Like, how many players in the world have to end their career on a loss, right? Like, it's
yeah. I mean, that's
I didn't even think of it until they said it, but then I was like, oh my gosh, like only people that win national championships or win a Super Bowl their last year can say that their last game that they ever played was a win. Like everyone else, everyone else in softball, they end their career in a loss, other than that one team that wins when you're a senior.
Yeah. And I mean, luckily too, and I took the time to really appreciate it too. And that's what I always try to just like echo, I feel like to other athletes too. And it's like especially like if you know, or even if you don't know, and it could be your last game, just appreciate it. Like, appreciate the grass you're stepping on, appreciate the dirt, appreciate every time you step into that box too, and you're looking down the barrel too. And I mean, like, just appreciate every moment that you're out there too, every moment that you get to spend there, especially if you don't know if it's going to be your last game or not.
And in all reality, let's be honest, like as we're talking to these seniors that are going into their summer season for the last time, or maybe their juniors that are going into their senior season next year, the percentage of people that get to go out on their own terms and get to decide when they want to leave and when they want to stop playing, very, 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 very small. Or when they go into a game knowing for sure this is my last game ever, the percentage of people that get to do that, very, very small, right? So make sure that, like Ty said, like every game you gotta play it as if it's your last. It's become a cliche in sports, which is kind of sad because it shouldn't be so cliche. It shouldn't be one of the things that you just kind of dust off and say, no. But like, we don't know what happens. Like, we're not promised tomorrow's game. Ever.
No.
Ever.
So I think it just goes into just appreciating the fact that you're playing.
That's my man, Alex Smith. I mean, you're not promised tomorrow's game at all. That dude tried everything to come back, but like out of nowhere, boom, your career's over.
That's the thing with sports too. Just appreciate the time too, and no matter what sport you play. And I mean, there's truly something special about this high school experience, and that's what we always kind of echo here at YSN, is just kind of live up that high school experience, because those 4 years, they go so incredibly quick too. And these high school sports experiences too are going to go by in a blink of an eye. So really get out there, appreciate, enjoy every moment you get to be with the team, be a part of the camaraderie, be a part of the crowd and the excitement too, because it definitely is something special too, those 4 years.
Lauren Burke has my heart. Okay. Cool.
Is that directed towards you, Ann? Is that a jab?
I can't think of Lauren Burke. Like, there's no OU player. He might be talking about the World Series, but I'm like, no, I can't think of a Lauren Burke.
I don't know if that was like directed or aimed at you, Ann, because like you brought it up with a little bit of conviction in your voice.
No idea.
Was it aimed towards you?
Lauren Burke, man. Say that, my man Robert.
You want to talk about something that has my heart, and the number of games we're going to have on this weekend. We talked about having a little bit of a rough week as far as weather was concerned, but I think DJ hit the nail right on the head on Tuesday's Power Hour, I believe it was, when he said, yeah, we might take these games away from Scene Park with the rain. Well, watch out for this weekend too, because we're going to come back at you hitting as hard as ever too, and that seems to be the case, certainly.
Tonight, We have 5 games at Scene Park in Class B action. We also have Scrappers starting their second home series against West Virginia again, coming to town this weekend. We have more games at Scene, 2 travel games with Steel Valley Storm, and then a Scrappers game. So between today and tomorrow, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus another 6 is 12, 14, 15, just between today and tomorrow. 15 games on the network.
15 games today and tomorrow. And you got to remember, too, folks, a lot of these Scene games, too, are taking a little bit of break, too. So Scene's going to be an even bigger uptick starting, I believe, next week? And once we start seeing, I think, like June 14th. So during that week, we're going to see teams. I think 16U starts coming back full force to play. A lot of these 16U teams.
And then Sunday, you have 3, 6, 7 games at Scene. We're going to have a Challenger game at BCB. We're going to have a Scrappers game, and then we're going to have at least one of the bracket play games from the Steel Valley Storm and Willoughby. So at least we already – what number did I say? 15 between Friday and Saturday, and then at least 7, 8, 9, at least 10 more. So 25 games over the weekend at the least. Now, if the Steel Valley Storm make a big run in the bracket, you could get as much as 4. So that could be 4 extra games that we get. Hoping that my team gets to – we're going to go.
We're hoping for it, but
we're going to go into Willoughby and we're going to play really well. So
a minimum guarantee of a quarter century of games all for you this week and starting tonight too. TGIF, right? I mean, we get 25 games at the very least on the noggin. And I mean, that's baseball, softball of all different levels from all different places too, including Scrappers, BCB, Bobstein Park, Steel Valley Storm. I mean, it's all over the place.
That'll definitely put us over 100 for games in the summer so far, by the way. And
killing it. You're not a weekend. We're getting a quarter of a century in a weekend.
Last year, we had 425 games total in the summer, and we're already almost at 100, and we're not out of June yet. So we're actually going to be over – I should say we're over 100. We're going to be over 100, and we're not even out of June. So I think that 425 mark is starting to look really, really scared.
I think the granddaddy mark too of games covered in a single.
I don't like that name, but plays for Texas. Okay, well, I must have not remembered her because they got run ruled twice.
Oh, look at the little feisty.
When I think of Texas, I think of like Iacopo, their catcher, or Delcini, their pitcher. I never, or of course Jefferson, their shortstop, who is just amazing. But then their left fielder didn't really bring a bell.
He said sorry, but no. Looking at this too, the granddaddy of games covered in a single calendar year too. We're always looking to raise the bar too, and we saw that we hinted at it. We talked about it in great length too. The baseball games covered for baseball softball season this year comparative to last year too. Just continuing to raise the bar, and we're looking to do that in the summer too. And exciting to see what our grand total number is going to be in that year-to-year mark from the start of last year's football season all the way until just before the start of this upcoming year's too. How many games we covered and where it stands from last year too. I'm excited to see how much work the YSN team put in over the year.
I'm not going to release the cards, but if next time you come into the office, all you have to do is look at a dry erase board over there. And
I every time I do, I check it out too. I'm excited. I know we're waiting until that day too, and I can't wait till it does drop too, because it's going to be exciting to see where that number is.
Quinn's keeping in tally.
Oh, I know, and Quinn's doing a great job too. I think Quinn takes it as a personal challenge to just keep on just raising that bar too, and he's done a phenomenal job at it.
Quinn's pulling the Michael Jordan, and I took that personally.
He's just like, no, don't say that about Quinn. Quinn's going to say LeBron. Quinn's going to say LeBron. You know, Quinn's going to say LeBron. He's not going to accept the MJ comment.
I think if we told Quinn that he would be a compared to not Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, I
think Quinn would be a little bit
Jackson. No, he's compared to
he would be offended, but I don't know if Quinn would take the Michael Jackson comparison as well as the Michael Jordan comparison.
You know, Quinn can moonwalk. I've seen him.
That'd be funny too. Quinn dancing. I love to. Did you see Quinn's grades on himself as a basketball player?
Yeah.
Did you see Quinn's grades on himself as a basketball player?
Defense.
I loved it because I thought it was one of the most honest ones you could probably get from Quinn.
Defense. What's defense? I can point people out.
He said, "What's defense?" Oh man, we should that'd be something cool. They just like grade yourself as a player too. We should do that around the office too, as like different sports. Grade yourself as a player.
Well, I'm getting an F in every sport, so.
Oh no, man. We gotta take your strengths too. You don't get an F in every category.
Find a sport that Anthony is good at.
Anthony's got the basketball, softball IQ and tangible grades too at 102. There's grades and everything for a player, brother. There's always spots. You ain't getting an F in every category. That doesn't even exist in these worlds.
Okay. Well, F, and then I'll get an A and 1.
couple B's,
It'll bring my GPA up to.
I think your agility is at least a C, Ant. I think you got some
agility C. Scotty's agility then was like a B plus A.
Scotty's gonna have like a tank engine on that chair soon, and his speed's gonna be like a 99.
Scotty's got me on agility, and he's got me on durability too. and definitely, what's the word I'm looking for? It just went right out of my head. When you can go endurance, Scotty's got endurance on me because all he has to do is this.
Yeah, Scotty's like the mastermind evil villain too.
And I have to do this.
But Scotty's more or less not the evil villain. He keeps us in check more than anything.
The only thing I might have on Scotty is maneuverability.
You do have maneuverability, I think. I think you
can take turns. He has to kind of slow down on his turn, and
it doesn't work too. I mean, you're on the football field. That doesn't work when we're doing the outside runs as well. Scotty's more of that inside zone run type guy. You want him inside between centers and guards. You don't want him going outside the tackles on that too. You have the maneuverability. You can get outside the tackles and go outside runs. You're the outside back, and Scotty's our inside star. We have our dual threat backs too for that football field. What did you do? What did you knock out? Because I know you just knocked something out.
Nothing.
Just destroyed something. These
nothing happened. And nothing happened. So
knocked something out. Looking at the games though too for these for the Scene Park, I just wanted to kind of go into Bob Scene's standings real quick too, because I know we have games going up all this week too, and just curious on just where everything is shaking out now as far as it goes. I want to look into 14, 16, and 18U. Well, I don't think 16U played, correct? It was what, 14U?
16U hasn't played since they were scheduled to play Tuesday. They got rained out. So 16U
18U is scheduled to play tonight, correct?
Right.
Yeah. And then the standings over in 14U. I double checked. I thought, yeah, Whiting's still leading that one, 13-1, and Astros right behind them, 12-3, 10-4 for Ballistic, 10-7 for Avalanche. So it's really those top four teams, all with 10 or more wins. But Whiting, how about Whiting, man? That's going to be a team. I can't wait till those guys. 18U, you mentioned it, Ant. That's going to be a tough team once it rolls around.
16U and 14U, they have 2 losses.
Yeah.
And they're 21-2 between 16U and 14U.
We got the Astro Falcons at 7-0, but Creekside is right there at 8-1, and Creekside plays 5:30 against the Prospects too. So this is going to be an interesting game. Astros play Avalanche 8:30 at Scene 1.
Now remember the Astros, the last time they were out, their game got suspended. They were up 3-1 in the 4th over the Prospects. So Prospects are a good enough team that if Creekside doesn't, come to play, they can beat them. And Creekside has been kind of escaping this week. They won 7-6 on a comeback victory in their last game out. So Creekside has been kind of, escaping with their lives and keeping pace. But maybe they need to play a little bit better to make sure they square up Prospects.
Prospects are going to be 3-5 going into this game. Avalanche are 5-4 going up against the Astro Falcons. So that's going to be interesting too. Avalanche definitely solid team. But how about this, Ant? 85 runs scored in 7 games for Astro, comparative to 13 runs allowed. Like that's insane. Like
It's something else.
the
Level.
552 team on base percentage. They're getting on as a team 55% of the time, and then they're holding opponents to a 135 batting average against. Like that, those numbers are just. I mean, we talked about it earlier on in the show, but just to break it down a little bit further and just to kind of showcase how good the Astro Falcons have been so far in this 18U. I mean, it's unbelievable too. Like the average, they're batting 427 as a team. Like that's their batting average. They're batting 427 as a team.
Now,
like that doesn't happen.
To be fair, that's 7 games. So what that can't be too many at bats as a team.
178 team at bats.
So they're going to have impressive numbers, but maybe it won't stick around at the 470 mark as far as the
How
team.
about 55 walks to 35 strikeouts as a team? That's impressive. You're walking that much more.
We talked about strikeout to walk ratio earlier in the show this week when we were talking about Whiting and in the 16U. I mean, people overlooked the importance of putting the ball in play and not striking out.
Just the some of the numbers too, like the OPS is over 1,000, and like that's on base plus slugging. So if you have that over 1,000, that's elite levels. They're 1.131. Like as a team, your on base plus slugging is 1.131. That's unbelievable.
Like the breaking news music.
Like that
are good in baseball.
But I mean, on top of all that, 1.62 ERA as a pitching squad, 24 walks to 66 strikeouts as a pitching staff. Like they do the little things right, is what it is. You don't see them make too many mistakes and hurt themselves. Like they don't swing at many bad pitches. Like you don't see them swing at many bad pitches or chase bad pitches. They force you to come at least close to the zone every time that they're batting. And I mean, it's the who's of area talent. We've said that, but like even pitching wise too, they don't leave things over the plate. Like you got to hit their pitch. They're going to pitch it on the corners. They don't make too many mistake pitches. You got to hit their pitch. And that's what makes it so hard to beat this team.
Yeah, it's like almost every year, it's probably going to come down to Astro Falcons and Creekside. That's what it's looking like. But Dura Edge, sneaky team. I think they're in third. Don't sleep on them. They have a lot of talent on that roster. So I think Dura Edge is one of those wild card teams that can throw a monkey wrench into that plan.
The thing is, too, and like their one matchup with Creekside was a 13-0 victory against Creekside for Astro. Like that's putting on a display, and that was back on June 3rd.
That's how we got into this talk in the first place back in the start of the show about what parity means if it's top heavy, right? So everyone from the scores are pretty close from everyone versus everyone else, but then you get into Astro Falcons versus the two team. It's 13-0. It's like, oh man,
Wednesday, June 15th is going to be a big game because that's game 2 against Creekside. So Creekside has a chance to definitely make a little bit more noise. But like teams that have come close, the closest team that has come to beating them has been Dura Edge. 8-5, Astro beat Dura Edge, and that's been the closest score this season. 3 runs.
In the fourth, the Prospects are staying in the game. They're only down 3-1. That game has to be continued at some point this summer, but the Prospects at least staying in the game to this point. 3-1, they're down in the fourth inning.
I mean, looking at the Prospects too, we talked with Brogan Collins of Prospect 16U. We were 16U, but not in the 18U. But we talked a little bit on Prospect 16U too. We got to get into Prospects 18U, but yeah, they're definitely right there. 3-5 record. They can definitely still be in the hunt. Still a lot of games left.
There's parity. That's the point. But like, because the Prospects are good enough to beat Dura Edge, they're good enough to beat Creekside. But then there's that top heaviness in the top. And
yeah.
one of the things that makes the Astro Falcons so consistently good is the fact that they're talented beyond measure, right? So their talent is ridiculous, but they don't lean on it. They don't lean on that talent. They still get up every day and work. They still focus on the little things. They still execute the little things every time they get up to the plate, every time they're on the field, every time they're throwing a pivot. They execute the small things, and that's why. Yeah,
I hear you.
Okay. I heard myself echoing, so I was like, wait a minute. But that's why they're so good, because they're talented, but they also don't lean on that talent. The old adage is hard work beats talent when talent is hardly working, but hard work doesn't beat talent when talent's working just as hard as you. And that's kind of what the Astro Falcons are doing.
Yeah.
They're more talented than you, and they're working hard. They don't rest on their talents.
Yeah, and that's always an important thing too, and that's what makes good players great, right? And I mean, that's exactly what it is. And you're right on the whole parity argument, Anthony, until someone beats Astro too, and kind of proves you wrong that someone can beat Astro this season. That's kind of the case.
Not just beat them, but like when we get in the playoffs, you got to beat them twice. You got to, there's going to be a series in Class B playoffs. So
that's the interesting thing.
It's not just like, hey, we beat them, we got them. You got to get them again. You got to be the better team for a series.
And that's the key, right? Not an easy thing to accomplish either in the slightest, but we'll see. We'll see what can be put together by these other teams. They're gunning for Astro though in 18U. That's the team. But hey, Whiting's the one that has the target on their back though all of a sudden in 16U and in 14U now. So Whiting's got to get used to playing with that target on their back and get used to playing when teams are chasing and not being the ones chasing.
And they'll get a chance to do that when they get back in action on Tuesday. Whiting will have a game against
which one you looking at, 16U or 14U?
16U. Their Tuesday game, their next game on their schedule.
They are 16U.
They were supposed to play Creekside last Tuesday, but that game got rained out.
So on the 14th, we have 5 games coming up for 16U, and Whiting will be playing Athletics.
Okay. That'll be a good game too. That'll be a really good game between the Athletics and Whiting.
Athletics too. They're in the other division. They're in the Hernandez division. They're 4-5, and you talked about it. And I mean, Astro only 5-4. So this is a big game for Athletics too, trying to keep pace with Astro in that division.
Got to keep pace. You got to try to win that Hernandez division and get yourself a playable spot in the playoffs coming up later in the summer. We're going to take a next break. When we come back, we'll go through everything that's happening over the weekend on ysnlive.com. Don't go anywhere. This is Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Jimmy Sudman here, director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and 2 of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
How lucky are we to have not one, but 2 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring PGA professionals, golf instruction, a players rewards club, kids programs, and a pro shop and grill room for a memorable golf experience. Call or click to schedule your tee time at Mill Creek Golf Course.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we offer a worry-free experience for all our customers.
From sales to financing and even service,
we'll help build your perfect vehicle
and lock in your trade value
while your vehicle is being built.
No worries.
We guarantee financing,
regardless of your situation or credit history. No worries. And when your vehicle needs service,
our award-winning team will get you back on the road.
No worries.
That's what going the extra mile means. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Now is the time to think about your future, where you want to go, what you want to be. Your future can start now at Kent State Salem or Kent State East Liverpool. We have programs that will open doors and provide opportunities for you to pursue your passion. We are affordable, We are close. You call it hometown, we call it Kent State University. Learn more at www.kent.edu/Columbiana. You belong here.
Why choose local? Because you live here, work here, learn here, relax here, and celebrate here. 21 WFMJ is our valley's only locally owned TV station, and our focus is local. Other TV stations don't have that same focus, as their owners are somewhere else. But 21 WFMJ is rooted in the valley. Local people making decisions that affect your life, right here where you live.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Change. This one word can make you break out in a cold sweat. But with change comes wisdom, experience, and understanding. At Myers Family Insurance, we can help make changes in Medicare, insurance, and retirement a positive experience for you and your family. We've gone through changes, like our new office and new faces to help our family of clients too.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com or find us on Facebook.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. I'm Anthony Hartwig, and we are joined by Ty Bartell, as always. My sidecar, my sidekick, my Goomba, whatever adjective you want to put alongside him. And we are venturing towards the end of this Friday show. Before we get there, let's go to the games that are happening on the schedule tonight. We are going to have Class B games on Scene Park. Ty, can you go into that Class B schedule and tell us exactly what teams are playing tonight?
Yeah, I'll pull it up here for us. As looking at the schedule of games, let me bring up the 18U here. As far as for tonight goes, there's 5 games happening. Over on Scene 1, Athletics takes on Dura Edge at 6 p.m. And then
be on the call there.
Yep. Following at 8:30, also on Scene 1, Avalanche will be taking on the Astro Falcons on Scene 1.
Also with Noah Ricks.
Yep. Over at Scene 2, just one game on tonight's docket. Ballistic will take on Eagleware. That's slated for an 8 p.m. start.
Matt Mayer on the call for that one at Scene 2.
And then Scene 3 is going to have 2 games happening tonight over at Scene Park. First one starts at 5:30 p.m. Prospects takes on Creekside Fitness.
That one will be Tom O'Brien on Scene 3 for both of those games.
Yep. And then Whiting takes on Nightline at 8 p.m. on Scene 3.
All right. So all those games can be seen on ysnlive.com. Like I said, the announcers at Scene are going to be Dom O'Brien on Scene 3, Noah Ricks on Scene 1, and then Matt Mayer on Scene 2. We'll have Mahoning Valley Scrappers tonight as well. 7:05 first pitch between West Virginia and the Scrappers. Richie Giuliano on the call there. The pregame show starts at 6:30. So make sure to check that out at yslive.com/scrappers.
Yep, exciting too. Can't wait for that too, as Scrappers look for another victory going
on
into
Saturday. We'll have 6 games on Scene for Class B baseball from 2 o'clock to 7:30. Noah Doty going to be on the call. Ian O'Brien will be there as well as Noah Ricks and Matt Mayer. Bryan doing double duty on scene 3 at 4:30 and 7. Noah Ricks doing the games on scene 2, and then Matt Mayer will have the call on scene 1 for the last 2 games. Noah Doty will be on the call at 2 o'clock. Tomorrow we'll also have Steel Valley Storm pool play on Saturday. They'll be playing the Willoughby Stars on Saturday at 2, and then they'll also be playing Cheetah's Fast Pitch 16U Saturday at 5. And as part of the pool play, we'll also have bracket play on Sunday from Steel Valley Storms. Those times are to be determined. As far as other things on Sunday, we have more games at Scene, as we'll have 7 games from Scene Park. Announcers there will be Alec Caberna, Noah Doty, Matt Mayer as well. Alec Caberna playing 2, Noah Doty doing 1, and Matt Mayer doing 1 as well. And DJ will be at Field of the Dreams at 4 o'clock on Sunday for Challenger League Baseball on L1. And the Scrappers will have their final game of the series at 2:05 versus West Virginia, as well as bracket play from the Steel Valley Storm.
We're excited for it too. It should be exciting. Good luck to your Storm tonight, and we hope for some wins too. We could add some more games to this weekend series.
We will be in Willoughby this weekend, so hopefully we can get some good wins, and we'll have a productive weekend. Always trying to get better. That's our main goal. So, Casual Sports Podcast coming up next from 2 to 3, Power Hour from 3 to 4, and all those games going on over the weekend. Enjoy it. We'll see you on Monday. We're taking a 70-hour break. Me and Ty will be back Monday from 12 to 2 on Running Point.